using the procedural foliage volume, using the foliage tool, anything like that. It's just going to be better for you in the long run, and that's specifically what it's made for. But in this case, let's break this. Set instance. Actually, let's do this. Okay, we're going to move things just a little bit here. What about scattering rocks on the ground? Personally, I would just use the foliage tool, unless you were looking for a very specific, like in this case, I am assuming that you want a specific pattern or something like that. And this all looks like a mess now. Let me make this a little cleaner. But in the case of what I'm doing here, the assumption is that you are looking for a specific pattern, or you want them to be laid out a very particular way. If you are looking for a more randomized approach, I would recommend probably the procedural foliage volume. That way you don't have to paint them, or if you want to paint them, you can with the foliage tool. But in general, you're going to get way, way more natural looking results out of that. But if you're looking for a situation where you have like caves and stuff like that, this could be useful if you don't want to have to go and like clean up everything or something like that. Like you can make it to look like scattered garbage. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can do with it. Uh, what are the dots between the lines? Oh, so down here, that's just because I set persistent to the debug line, and so it's freaking out on me. Sometimes it does that. The actual debug lines are these right here, where let's say I did 100. See how they kind of just keep going? But if I change this to for one frame, it should go away eventually. Alright, so, well, no, because it's not live. So maybe for duration? And I would have to build to get those to go away, which don't really feel like it right now. So we're going to mess with that later. For now, we're going to be ridiculous and stretch this out. And maybe not, because it's being freaky. Okay. Let's see. Make vector. Okay, so the reason I specifically did this, if it works, is that I want to break the impact point, set the Z location to there. So let me get rid of this one. And I'm going to build geometry real quick, see if I can... Ah! You're just going to be stubborn, aren't you? What if I build lighting? You gonna keep giving me shit if I build lighting? Yes, allow swarm agent. Jesus. See what I have to deal with, people? Uh, I could use some water while we're doing this. And hopefully the lighting build won't take too long so we can get back to work. I'd use pattern for human-made structures, but for caves built from the same rock or scattered rocks, I guess I should just use the foliage tool. Typically, yeah, the foliage tool is going to give you a more natural look, unless you randomize everything and really go at it with math to make it look more natural, which you can. I mean, I've seen some amazing things done with math and materials and stuff like that, where it looks like white boxed. It looks just completely plain, but then a guy did this stuff with tessellation and displacement and made this whole sewer scene out of like one material. It was really cool, but you have to be able to know exactly what you're doing, and unfortunately that's kind of a limitation on my own knowledge. I don't know where that one went, but okay. Initial location, I'm going to go with 500, 500, 500. Actually, let's go with 1000, maybe 10, maybe 6000 or 5000. There we go. That's kind of not where I want it. Don't know why it changed the pivot, but okay. Okay. 545. That's getting closer to what I wanted. There we go. That's a little bit closer. As you can see, it doesn't want me to move it too far. It wants me to kind of keep it. It's not perfect, and I'd need to play with it more to get exactly right. Interesting little breaks there. There we go. Got like a little Stonehenge going on here. That actually, let's see. So the mathematician or the hierarchical instance mesh components, as I was saying earlier, I actually have no idea. I've used both pretty interchangeably. I typically just use instance meshes because I'm more familiar with them. But I honestly have no clue what the difference between a hierarchical instance mesh and a regular instance mesh is. And it's like it's just never come up. I could ask maybe tomorrow if I could get a hold of someone. Unfortunately, all of our developers are, of course, very, very busy. So maybe I have a couple people that I could probably ask and get a reasonable answer out of. But at the moment, I honestly couldn't tell you. But I do hope this was useful to you. it's a really fun thing to do. Plus, we got to mess with math, which is fun. It's funny. When I was in school, I hated math. It was one of my least favorite subjects. But once I got into the industry, I love math. The stuff you can do with it, even if I'm bad at it, like the stuff that you can do with math is just amazing. And all it takes is a little bit of time, patience, and a whole lot of alcohol to be, you know, one who accepts the ways of the mathematics. Uh, has to do with LODs? Maybe. Maybe a let's get rid of this real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna try something here. We're gonna find out. So I'm gonna grab a shape. Let's go with the shape tube. I want to duplicate it, and in this one I want to add UV channel 1. Let's see. Need to add an LOD, which was, where are you? Level detail. Basic LOD, import LOD1, dense shapes. Okay. So take the triangle. Let's asset export as an FBX file. We'll export it to desktop. Boom. Shape tube. Now we're going to grab import LOD1, go to desktop, shape pyramid, right there. Okay, so we now have an LOD. If we're close enough, it should be a triangle. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a blueprint actor. I'm going to call this LOD. First thing, instance mesh. Shape tube 2. Boom. Add an instance. So if I put this out in the world, and I get close to it, there's still an LOD. Now if I take this one and set it to shape tube 2, turn around, you can see triangles, and then as I get closer, it materializes into a cylinder. Oh, okay. So the way that is changing versus the way this is changing, that looks like the major difference is how they do LOD changes. These just kind of pop versus the hierarchical ones, which kind of they give it more of a fade in, I guess. Huh, that's interesting. Never really thought to check that. Then again, I'm not an artist. I don't really mess with this stuff. So that's cool. So yeah, I guess if you want more of a like fade in value, this will be more useful. But if you're wanting just for it to go, hey, boom, you're this close, this is what it is now, then that might be more worthwhile. If you're doing caves, this might be the better option because then what you can do is have the radius set far enough to where if they're outside of a certain radius, it doesn't matter. You know, you've got these little chunky things. Then once they get within a certain radius, it goes ahead and goes blink. Now, of course, this is a very extreme example because of just where the values are set, but this would be more useful for like if you're wanting just a more gradual detail change. That's cool though. All right, well, I'm glad we got that out of the way and figured out. That was cool. All kinds of interesting stuff. All right, so does anyone